One thing nobody warned me about when I started reinventing my life was the guilt. The fear and the uncertainty I expected. I had been living a certain way and doing things a certain way for almost 50 years. I knew it would be scary. And I didn't have everything all worked out yet, so the uncertainty was built into this whole process. But that was kind of exciting. But the guilt took me by surprise. And I think that a lot of people don't talk about it because it makes them feel selfish. Women are just not conditioned to put themselves first. not even second or third. Most of the time we usually reserve ourselves a spot firmly at the bottom of the list, and this just becomes our norm. It feels comfortable. It's what we adapt to and adjust to, and so we think that that means it's right. I was honestly surprised at all the different ways that guilt came up for me. There was guilt for changing. There was guilt for not meeting the expectations that I had trained people to expect from me, honestly, because I had continued to show up in certain ways over and over and over. It's not other people's fault that they had certain expectations of me. But the one that hit the hardest was guilt for being happier. So I want to talk about where that guilt actually comes from because it might not mean what you think it means. So the first part I want to talk about is how reinvention disrupts people's expectations. When you start changing your life and who you are and how you show up, that doesn't mean that everybody around you is going to start changing too. And those people are interacting with the version of you that they've always known. So if you used to be the reliable one or the peacekeeper or the person that just made everything work and you stop doing that, people feel it and it brings up all kinds of emotions. It's not because they're bad people. And it's not even necessarily that they don't want the best for you. It's just the system that they always knew and they relied on, it changed on them. And that requires something of them. It requires that either they change and adapt, or they could just get angry and throw a temper tantrum, or try to shame you or add to the guilt that you may already feel because you disrupted the program. The second thing is that women have been conditioned to feel responsible for everyone around them. That's just it. That's just what we learned from birth. It feels like that it's our responsibility to make sure everybody around us is happy and content and cared for. Most of us were just raised with the idea that being a good woman means that we have to be accommodating to everybody else. We don't want to make waves. We always want to put other people first. We don't want to ask for too much. And so when we start prioritizing ourselves, our brain goes, wait, something's wrong. This is wrong. This does not feel right. That's just because it's unfamiliar. We are in brand new territory over here, giving our own needs and desires actual weight. And number three, there are unspoken agreements inside of every relationship that you have. And because our relationships have this unspoken agreement, like you're the one that I'm going to call to fix this mess I've made. You're the one that always says yes. You're the one that's going to take care of me, even in the ways that I could actually be taking care of myself. I don't have to because I know you're going to do it. And so when you stop doing that, it can feel like you're literally breaking a contract, because in a way, you are. It's a contract that never served you in the first place. And it probably, no, it definitely didn't serve the person that you're in the relationship with, because it didn't require them to step up to the plate in certain ways in their own life and in their own well-being. So even if you never consciously agreed to this contract, you probably weren't even aware of it until you had that wake-up call that caused you to want to reinvent yourself in the first place. But when you do break the contract, it can bring an incredible amount of guilty feelings. Number 4, guilt is often a signal that your identity is changing even before you consciously decide to totally reinvent yourself. Because, like I said before, you start doing things that aren't your norm. You start saying no when normally you would always say yes, no matter how you felt about it, no matter how inconvenient it was. You would just say yes. And then one day you're like, you know what? I don't want to do that. No, I'm sorry. And so you may make tons and tons of excuses. You may be tempted to lie as an excuse of why you're not going to do something or why you can't do something. So guilt does show up right at the edge of growth because your nervous system, your body, your mind knows we don't usually do this. We don't usually say no. We don't usually let everybody fend for themselves for supper tonight because everybody's grown and they can do it themselves. You know what I mean? Like, we just aren't used to doing it. So it feels off. And I think that for me, anyways, one of the easiest ways for me to calm and comfort that part of me that feels guilty is that instead of berating the old me who said yes to everything, who put herself last and who put everyone else first and caused these people to have these expectations of me in the first place, is I've learned to honor the person that I was and show her compassion and even have gratitude for the person who didn't know any better. Like Maya Angelou says, when we know better, we do better. And the old version of me, the old version of you, or the you that you want to leave behind, you don't want to do that with anger or condemnation or judgment. We want to do that with love because that old version of us wasn't wrong. She did what she had to do to build a life for herself. And she did it the way that she knew how, the way that we were taught how. So we can grow and change and even completely reinvent ourselves and lessen some of that guilt just by thanking the old version of us. She got us here. And then choosing to move forward anyways. And knowing that just because it feels unfamiliar does not mean that it's wrong. And staying trapped in unhealthy patterns does not help anybody. It does not help the people that we think we're helping anyways. It just keeps them from being the highest and best versions of themselves. It keeps them from taking responsibility for their own actions and for their own feelings and learning how to do life on their own. So if you're feeling guilty for changing, I just want you to know one last time. Guilt doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It just means you're stepping outside of the roles that people have gotten used to you playing in life. And when you start being the woman that you really want to be, that you were meant to be, it's gonna feel uncomfortable for a while for you and the people closest to you. But that doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means it's different. And it's going to take some time to adjust. And that's why it's so great to have people around you, to build a community for yourself of people who are like-minded, who are also growth-oriented and maybe going through a similar process or situation in their own lives. And so I've created a community that I'm so excited about on School, and it's called Be Her 2.0, and I'll leave the link in the description because my goal there is to connect with women who are reinventing ourselves in real time because we need support, encouragement, and just a witness that says, me too, I understand. And I really believe that together we can accomplish a lot more than we can on our own. I know that's been true for me. I would not have been able to completely reinvent myself and create a life that I love at 47 if it weren't for the strong, loving, supportive as hell women that I had in my corner. And I just wanted a way to give that back because my journey's not over. I'm turning 50 this year and I'm still in the process of reinventing, of unlearning things that weren't helpful for me and learning new skills and new ways of being that support my highest self and the dreams that I have for myself. Anyways, thanks for being here so much. I hope that this was helpful. If it was, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell because I've got a lot more to share. I've come a long way and I'm really happy with the life that I've built for myself, but I've made some mistakes along the way and I'll share those as well as the successes to help you in your reinvention journey. See y'all next time.